Hello, everybody. Denver Riggleman here with Matt Anderson. That we're going to be rocking and rolling. And what we're going to be covering is something that has been very important to me right now, even because, I'm a big fan of trying to stop idiocy. And that's Rep. Burleson, who's in Congress now. And he hired David Grush, the noted DIA UFO expert and whistleblower, who obviously wanted to expose all the non-human intelligence that we're dealing with lately. So I had Matt come on, who's our inveterate researcher, right, to help me with some of this, Matt. So, it's pretty crazy. If we go over what Burleson's done so far and some of the things, it's pretty nuts, right?
Yeah. So, one, thank you for having me. It's kind of weird to be on this side of the camera for this show. So
it's going to be all right.
Yeah, it's great to be here. And it feels like a little bit of old home week now because it's you and I talking about UFOs, kind of, and crazy people, definitely. But yeah, you mentioned Eric Burleson is the representative from Missouri 7th District. You guys didn't cross paths in Congress. I was hoping you had because didn't know if you'd ever met him, but
we wouldn't get along, Matt. We wouldn't have gotten along, I don't think.
Oh, no. But yeah, he's only in his second term, and I found this super interesting. Do you know how he distinguished himself on his first floor speech in Congress?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I don't actually.
Let me just remind people, Denver, your final floor speech was denouncing QAnon, right?
It was denouncing QAnon, warning about violence for radicalization, right? And the mysteries of crazy. Yes.
Yeah. There's basically no better message that you could have left, especially knowing you. Well, so now looking at this guy's first speech, he decided that DirecTV's delisting of Newsmax was the equivalent of like something that happened during the Holocaust. He actually quoted on the House floor, "First they came for ... that," in reference to a private company, DirecTV, deciding that in light of Newsmax being found guilty of lying,
in a propaganda newslet that was found liable of lying about the election of 2020. But go ahead. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so guy shows up in Congress, uses his basically first first floor speech to equate that with the Holocaust. So I was like, this guy's going to be special. I think
that's, what it is, right? If we're talking about the biggest issue that I had, and, I talked about fantasy-based policy, but I don't think that's strong enough. I think it's delusion-based policy. And Matt, we've had that discussion, and I know, us and part of the team, when you see somebody like, Eric Burleson hiring somebody like a David Grush to be on the staff, who's, it's either or. It can be an and or here, right, Matt? It's either he's crazy or he's a grifter, or there's some kind of crossing of the streams between grift and crazy, or he's just a guy who lives, in the vapor of credulity, right? Which I've talked about many times before, where they float around, just going from stupid to stupid, like a hummingbird looking at conspiracy plants, right? And wanting to nectar them up, right? I think that's really what we're at, right? Is we got these nutty hummingbirds out there that go from crazy to crazy because they have no ability to discern what fact is. And fantasy to them looks like fact. And I think with Grush, the hiring of Grush, who I know incontrovertibly, right, is wrong about alien body parts being stored in freezers in Area 51, and that we're using, it's, I can't even say it sometimes. We're using alien tech to build aircraft.
Reverse engineering.
Reverse engine. It's so out of bounds to me. But now you have the crazy hiring crazy on staff, and that's because birds of a feather flock together, not to go back to hummingbirds.
No, the image of actually hummingbirds really does work quite well, because just the way they'll kind of go back and forth, get what they need, move to the next thing. Because to remind the audience who maybe has I'm jealous of them if they've forgotten who David Grush is, but 2 years ago, so in the summer of 2023, he, and along with a few others, testified, was it the House Oversight Committee? I'm trying to remember exactly which one it was.
I believe it was House Oversight, or it was the Weaponization Committee, or it might have been Science and Technology, but, all of them are led by idiots. But
So he testified about, and this is where, and I still refuse this terminology. I still say UFOs, but that's when UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, kind of
Uh-huh.
rose to prominence.
Yeah.
His claims were ridiculous, but for whatever reason, in the summer of 2023, I guess everything was going great. We decided to take it seriously and paraded them, him and some other people. Someone, was it Grush himself who said he had his hands inside organic extraterrestrials, or he recounted someone had
Somebody else
told
had,
him,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I just remember that quote always
Yeah.
stuck with me.
Uh-huh.
But again, that was 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
he's now been hired as a congressional staffer
Uh-huh.
today, which
Yeah.
or 2 years later. Which, one, why? But two, I have a question for you. You had to hire a staff. Like, I don't know anything about this. So when you get elected,
Mhm.
is there a staff waiting for you? Do you have to
No.
hire your entire office staff?
Yeah, so first of all, I would not hire a psychic to try to predict foreign policy issues, right?
Seems fair.
So yeah, I just want to let people know that. So when you actually get elected to Congress, you have two staffs. So you have your federal staff, which are 9 people, and you have your district staff, which is between 8 and 9 people. You can actually have a couple part-time people too. So you can have up to 20.
Okay.
You have a specific budget that you have to choose anybody you want. Now, a lot of people, especially on the Republican side and even on the Democratic side, they're going to hire friends who might not have a lot of experience
Mhm.
and then try to get a chief of staff who does, somebody who's, been tainted, by the smell of the swamp, right? Somebody who knows the intricate, pathways to get things done within Congress. So for me, though, since I did not want to hire people that didn't know government, I actually went through a professional resume process with interviews. Now, district staff is a little different. That's people who might have been there in a bipartisan fashion, and you
Mhm.
don't really you want your district staff to have continuity. So you try to keep as many of those as you can, as long as they're not nuts, right? You do
Right.
your basic above moron IQ test, and if they're good with constituents, you keep them. But when it comes to federal staff, it's usually a 100% turnover from the prior congressional representative. Now, if it's going Republican to Republican or Democrat to Democrat, you might keep an LD, a legislative director, or somebody who's
Mhm.
good with comms, communications, but your chief has to be yours. It's like you have to have somebody who's loyal to you.
Okay.
And usually, when you're scrubbing that, you're looking for how good they are at specific things. You have legislative assistants, legislative coordinators, communication, chief of staff. You have your scheduler. You have your people that you have that you go through. So when you're talking about Eric Burlison
Mhm.
bringing on David Grush, what is he actually doing? I mean, this is a guy
Right.
who, what is he? Is he the legislative director? Is he the legislative assistant for alien affairs? What,
I think that's
like,
it.
right? Yeah. I mean, is he working foreign policy? I'm not kidding. Is he doing military affairs as in LA as a legislative assistant? So that's the thing that gets me is he's hired just for shock value
Yes.
from crazy to crazy. And these are the people vetting and writing legislation.
Right.
They're also the ones that interact with lobbyists and people who write legislation for you. I'm going to shock people right now. This is fact. This isn't alien autopsy. But most of the bills that get presented to you come from lobbyists. And your staff has to parse that. So now if you have a crazy ass bill,
Mhm.
you have David Grush parsing that, who believes, right, somebody actually had their fingers in organic matter. So I hope that helps people with how you should do business and how the crazies do business, because there's a marked difference, in that.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think we want anyone's fingerprints that have been in extraterrestrial organics to be on terrestrial bills. But I don't know.
Dude,
Maybe that's
I hate putting my hands in pumpkin guts. I can't imagine, and I can't imagine, there's an alien there. I'm like, oh, let me feel the gooey innards of the Zeta Reticulum that crash landed, and let me tell people about it.
right.
So
And
it's just insane.
and not only tell people about it, but again, and this is worth remembering that in the way that Grush has presented all of his claims, he's supposedly the most credible witness, I guess, but he's also just reciting secondhand stories from them.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's, you know, he's talked about some things that he himself has seen, but his like most outrageous claims are always have that buffer of, well, this is what I've heard, which is not the best foundation in which I would think to give a testimony in front of Congress.
Well, I heard that chupacabra drinks the blood of cattle.
Yeah, I think I heard that too.
Right. I've heard that ghosts, right, can actually visit me, and as we talked about, Matt, fully clothed. But
it is important that ghosts keep their clothes, because we're not very you know, we're not that free yet, you know, as a society. We haven't gotten there with a bunch of nude ghosts. So.
Well, I mean, I don't think you want someone who thinks, you know, or you overheard someone finger blasted Chewbacca. You know what I mean?
Chewie, come here.
I don't know if we want those people on staff. So I think that's the issue that we have, right?
Right.
We can laugh, but we have a sitting member of Congress, who hired somebody who had crazy sitting behind him, and I don't think it was Dr. Stephen Greer, but he had some crazy sitting behind him,
right?
And it's almost like he is in competition with Lou Elizondo, who's another grifter, another UFO grifter. So you have this competition trying to be sort of the alpha of crazy, when it comes to UFO, NHI, UAP, and abductions and all that crazy kind of stuff, and people with their fingers inside of organic matter, sort of like RFK Jr. with his fingers inside a bear. You know, it's that's always the image that comes to my mind, right, Matt, when you say that.
You can't get it out of your head. Okay, so then let me ask you this, because I think this is something that I found fascinating while reading up on Burleson and Grush, but Burleson in particular. So as I said, he's in his second term in Congress. He's part of the Freedom Caucus. He was on the Doge Oversight Committee.
Sure.
Now, he is frequently someone who decries the size of government, right? He's actually one of the Republicans right now that is a little bit of a stumbling block for the big beautiful bill.
The big beautiful bill. He won't be. But go ahead. Yes, I'll tell you why.
Well, and you know what? As of on July 2nd, so just within a day of us recording this, Burleson was quoted, and I thought this was interesting because, and there will be one word here that I think will trigger you a little bit. He said, "One thing is abundantly clear: any hope for smaller government is not in the cards for the Uni Party." So Denver,
the Uni Party bullshit.
Okay. So really quick, before you jump on that word, let me just say, now this is a guy that is obviously, he wants to talk about shrinking the size of government. That's his thing. Yet at the same time, he is seemingly wanting to expand the size of government in order to chase down fantasy delusion by bringing someone like David Grush in. So how can that be reconciled? Like,
well, yeah, you know, so here's the thing. First of all, inconsistency is the bastion of conspiracy theorists and the ignorant. Right. And the second thing too, with Burleson, he just said that he wouldn't vote for let me tell you, the Uni Party thing, man. Everybody says that, from Elon Musk down. It's the Uni Party.
Yeah.
It's just you know, we have two really shitty parties, one with a hold my beer moment with conspiracy theories and fascism. But I think, you know, with Burleson, he just said, you know, that there's no way to stop the Uni Party, yet he voted for the Uni Party. He will vote for the Uni Party on the big, beautiful bill that'll increase our deficit and debts to a point that's, you know, completely unmanageable, that increases the size of government. So the very person who talks about the Uni Party in a bad way or in a negative is the person who's actually voting for his very concept, that conspiratorial nature, that there's this globalist or this deep state thing that controls everybody under the Uni Party umbrella, that Democrats and Republicans actually are in basements together, toasting each other as they're tricking and doing performative, you know, art against each other. When it comes down to, they actually hate each other right now. Democrats and Republicans hate each other. And you're seeing with that full circle moment that Donald Trump is, you know, this crazy guy who got elected. And that's an understatement. As you know, Matt, I have a lot of other words I like to use. Conspiracy theorist, sexual abuser, felon, somebody who defrauds people through Trump University. I could go on and on, but I think what we're talking about though is then you have the Mamdani wing of the Democratic Party, right? And you're starting to see this other type of thing starting to breed and this weirdness starting to happen, where you have actually two sides that hate each other so much they meet in the middle. That
Right.
doesn't mean there's a deep state globalist, some big Uni Party that's controlling everything, and yet he still voted for it, Matt.
Yes.
Is that so? Just to bring it all the way, all the way around.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the other thing that I found very interesting in looking up, okay, so we talked about, okay, Grush made his name 2 years ago. 2 years later, different president, everything like that. Now, why would Burleson bring Grush on now? Something I found interesting, I don't know if this is common, and this is another question I have for you. So Burleson initially was trying to get Grush a staff role advising the House Oversight Committee in general. So not just in his office, but just advising the committee that then would also be involved in the UAP investigations. But Grush was denied that because of what they said was his high profile in the press and on social media. So basically they were like, we don't know. Like, we even know to keep this guy away. And instead of being deterred, Burleson was like, nah, just come work for me instead.
Yeah, there's two different staffs, right? So the committee staffs are actually, they work directly for the committee chairman. So a committee chairman, say Comer, right, for oversight, but we can use him as an example. He has his own office staff. Mm-hmm. Then he controls a committee staff that actually helps with all the committee hearings, the legislation, and whipping the votes for specific committee votes before they even get to the floor. Yeah. So what he did was he just took our boy Grush as a staffer based on like-minded belief systems. But just to let people know, you can make up to $170,000 to $180,000 a year as a staffer. So my guess is Grush needed money. So I think that's really where we're coming down to, is the taxpayer is funding this nutbag, right? That works for a nutbag. So who the taxpayers are also funding.
It's like a nesting doll of nutbags.
Yeah. So, and by the way, you can pick one on staff. My guess is there was a drug deal right behind the doors that, hey, take on Grush on your staff, right? Yeah. You can absorb that because your district's nuts. They voted for you. So there's actually some kind of sickness that runs through Missouri 7. So what we can do is we can leverage that, and we can actually have plausible deniability that he's not on the committee staff. So that's how that happens. So I hope that I'm also educating people on how Congress works, right, as we go through this, right? Because, nutty, organic autopsies or fingers and aliens can also help people learn about Congress.
Well, okay, so let's talk about educating people for a second, because, all right, you get hired as Grush gets hired as a special advisor with purported expertise. Mm-hmm. Now, again, all of his expertise withers under just the slightest bit of scrutiny.
Of course.
Never been able to back up anything. Right. We've often, between us, joked about it, like the ever impending disclosure. And for people listening,
damn, you beat me to it. Damn you.
Okay. Disclosure is the what would you call it? It's like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for.
Actually, it's exactly like finding a leprechaun.
Yeah,
which
means it won't happen.
Yeah, it's exactly like that, right? It's pulling an alien out of the freezer and showing it to the American public and proving that they had aliens and NHI and all that kind of stuff stuck somewhere in Vegas.
Always Vegas. I mean, that's where you want it to be. So, okay, with his expertise, and again, with being paid, I found what I think might be the only bit of wisdom that he has imparted in this role.
Okay.
And it comes from a quote from Anna Paulina Luna,
who's a nut herself, but go ahead, Luna tick.
So she was quoted as saying, and I do like, and I'm going to read her quote verbatim, even though the article in which it was from misspelled Burleson's name, which I do appreciate. This was her quote just recently. She said, "Someone from Burleson's staff has told me that someone wants to come forward to talk about a crash retrieval program. So that's exciting. Did you follow that? Like,
I absolutely did. And listen, it's the self-licking ice cream cone of conspiratorial insanity and people that are IQ limited, live on the moron spectrum, right? It's all of that, right? And I
yeah,
think that's what we have, right? Is that it's just nuts, right? That we have to deal with this. But I want people to know that these are the people making policy decisions. We can laugh about this on this small batch episode, but my biggest fear has been delusional based policy. We're
yes.
seeing that today with the votes, and we're seeing what's happening across our country right now. So we have delusional based policy that's running this country, and that could cause our collapse. So I really do appreciate you being here with me, Matt, today on this small batch. This was so much fun. Thanks for all the work you did.
Thank
And
you.
everybody, you better subscribe to our YouTube because we have such a good looking bunch of people that are actually providing this incredible data and facts. So thanks. Welcome. Thank you. And I'll see you guys on the flip. And Matt, thanks for being with me today.
Thank you.